it's Rose and welcome back to Cheap Lazy Vegan and another recipes video. So today I'm going to show you guys 3 different holiday recipe ideas. These are great as kind of holiday sides or things to bring to like a potluck, stuff like that. They're all completely plant-based and so delicious, and I hope you guys try these out. So all of the recipes will be in a blog post link below, and that's going to have all the measurements and everything. So make sure you check those links out if you want to make any of these recipes. And I'm also going to have a link to my vegan beef roast recipe that I recently posted. So that's going to be kind of like the perfect main dish if you want to make that for your holiday feast. So again, that's a vegan beef roast. I'm going to link that below for that kind of main dish. And this video is going to be focused on mainly the sides, okay? The little extras, because the extras are just as important as the mains, right? Yes. Okay guys, so without further ado, let's get started with recipe number 1. All right guys, so the first recipe is going to be stuffed portobello mushrooms. This is a really good kind of budget-friendly sort of recipe. If portobello mushrooms are a little bit too expensive, you could try to use regular mushrooms, obviously just like, you know, smaller stuffing, you know, area, or you could do like bell peppers or anything else, okay? Be creative, do whatever you want. The filling is gonna be pretty inexpensive. It's actually pretty healthy as well, and it's so delicious. So let's get started with the stuffed portobello mushroom recipe. To get started with our stuffed portobello mushrooms, we're gonna preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Then we're going to take some portobello mushrooms, of course, make sure you've washed them, and then we're going to carefully snap off the stems. Make sure you save those to use for something else, or maybe you want to dice these up and add them to the veggies in this dish. That works as well. Just make sure you're not wasting food because we don't do that around here, okay? We're also going to carefully scoop out the inside like so. Actually, you're not really scooping, more like scraping the sort of outside layer here. Now, I forgot to do this part, but you want to lightly coat the outside of the mushrooms with a little bit of oil, and then we're going to bake these upside down at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 10 minutes or until it's slightly softened. They don't need to be fully cooked because we're going to bake them again later. While the mushrooms are in the oven, you can prepare and chop your veggies, and in a small bowl, we're gonna mix together the flavors. Let's add some miso paste, lemon juice, nutritional yeast, garlic powder, and oregano. We're gonna mix this really well, and I decided to thin it out a little bit with some water, so I'm gonna do that now, and again, mix this well until we have this lovely kind of thinned out paste. Now on a pan, let's melt some vegan butter, and I'm going to add some sliced leeks, or you can use onion if you wish. We're going to also add some minced garlic and cook this for a couple of minutes. Then once the leeks have cooked down a bit, I'm going to add some diced bell pepper and tomato. Cook that for another couple of minutes, and then we're going to crumble in some extra firm tofu. We're going to cook this until most of the liquid is gone. Then add some chopped kale or baby spinach, and also now it's time to add that sauce that we made earlier. We're going to mix this really well, add some salt and pepper to taste, and finally let's fold in some breadcrumbs. If you're gluten-free, make sure to use gluten-free breadcrumbs. Alright, now we have our mostly cooked portobello mushrooms, and I forgot to add oil on them earlier, so I'm just going to brush them lightly with some oil now. If you already added oil, you don't need to add oil, obviously. And now we're going to turn them hollow side up and carefully stuff them with that delicious mixture that we made. And let's top with some vegan shredded cheese. This part is optional, but I do recommend adding the vegan cheese. I think it adds some deliciousness, and obviously it melts really nicely, but you could also just top these with some more breadcrumbs and just lightly drizzle on some olive oil as well. So that's an option if you don't want to do the vegan cheese. And now we're going to return this to the oven and bake for another 5 to 10 minutes at 350 degrees Fahrenheit or until the vegan cheese melts. And once you're done, feel free to top with some fresh chopped parsley and some more salt and pepper if you'd like. And there you have it. Very delicious, high protein, comforting yet healthy stuffed portobello mushrooms. These are so yummy and juicy and so flavorful, and I love them so much, and I hope you love them too. Next recipe is going to be a Brussels sprouts casserole. Guys, you have to try this. I think this is probably my favorite in this video, but I love all of them. But this one is like really, really indulgent, really rich, and it's just so good. I don't really know how to describe it other than it's delicious, okay? I actually fed this to Daniel, my friend, and he was like, this kind of reminds me of like bread pudding, which I was like, I don't know what that is, but you know, anyway, it's delicious. So it is a Brussels sprout casserole, and obviously we're keeping it completely dairy-free and completely vegan, and it's a really nice, kind of creamy, rich, delicious, comforting casserole. So I hope you guys try this out. Let's get started with how to make it.
To get started with this absolutely delicious Brussels sprouts casserole, first we're gonna preheat the oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. And now to make our casserole, we're gonna use a cast iron skillet or any oven-safe skillet. And if you don't have an oven-safe skillet, that's okay too. Just use a regular pan and later you can transfer to a casserole dish. Now, heat some oil on your pan and let's add some Brussels sprouts that I cut into quarters. We're gonna toss and cook these for about 3 to 4 minutes and then turn the heat down to a medium and let's add some vegan butter. Mix this in and it should melt basically right away. And now let's add in some sliced leeks. If you don't have leeks, you can just use chopped onions as well. Now I'm gonna add some salt and pepper to get in that flavor and cook this down for a few minutes. And then I'm gonna add some minced garlic along with some thyme. We're gonna cook this for another minute or so, and then we're gonna stir in some flour. If you wanna keep this gluten-free, you can use some gluten-free flour, although I haven't tried it. I can't imagine it not working. We're gonna toss to coat the vegetables in the flour, and then slowly let's add in some canned coconut milk. And we're gonna do this while mixing to let the mixture thicken with the flour. And then we're gonna slowly pour in the vegetable broth as well while mixing everything. Next, I'm gonna add in some cashew parmesan, or you can use any vegan parmesan of your choice. I have a cashew parmesan recipe as well as a hemp parmesan recipe, and I'll link both recipes below. If you want, you can just add in nutritional yeast as well, but I do recommend using some sort of vegan parmesan if you have it. To really kick up that flavor, we're gonna add some Dijon mustard and lemon juice. Now, if you are using an oven-safe skillet like this one, you can just move on to the next step. But if you're not using an oven-safe skillet, at this point you want to transfer this to a casserole dish before the next step so you can put it in the oven. We do not need any kitchen disasters today. Alright, now we're almost ready for the oven. I'm going to top everything with breadcrumbs. And of course, if you're gluten-free, you can use gluten-free breadcrumbs. And finally, I'm going to finish off with some crispy onions. Now we're gonna put this in the oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 20 minutes or until the mixture gets nice and bubbly and the top has browned nicely. Take this out of the oven, and now if you want, you can top this with some chopped fresh parsley, and there you have it, delicious Brussels sprouts casserole. Guys, I'm telling you, this is so delicious and indulgent. I think everyone will love this dish, even if you hate Brussels sprouts. Yes.
Next recipe is going to be another casserole. This time it's going to be a tater tot casserole. Yes, tater tot casserole. Doesn't that sound fun? So this kind of reminds me of like a shepherd's pie, except for instead of using mashed potatoes, you're just gonna use frozen tater tots. So it's actually easier than a shepherd's pie because you don't have to make mashed potatoes. You can just use frozen tater tots. And it's actually really, really fun and delicious. And the original kind of non-vegan recipe uses like ground beef, but obviously we're not gonna use ground beef. And I kind of wanted to make this more budget friendly. So instead of using like a vegan ground beef substitute, which you can definitely use, I used lentils instead. So that kind of keeps it more budget friendly, more healthier. And I think it was still very delicious. If you want to though, you can of course definitely use like a vegan ground meat if that's something you want to do. But today I wanted to make it more budget friendly, so I did use lentils, and yeah, it's really good. Let's get started with how to make it.
Let's get started with making a vegan tater tot casserole. First, preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and then I'm gonna start by adding some oil to a large pan, and let's add some finely chopped mushrooms, diced onion, and minced garlic. We're gonna add a bit of salt, and let's cook this up for a few minutes. Once the mushrooms have cooked down a bit, we're gonna add some dry red split lentils along with some vegetable broth, along with thyme, garlic powder, and onion powder. We're gonna mix this well, and I'm gonna bring this to a boil, and when it boils, we're gonna turn it down to like a medium or a medium low and let it simmer for about 10 minutes or until most of the liquid has been absorbed. The lentils should be mostly cooked, but they don't have to be fully cooked. Now, traditionally, the non-vegan version of this recipe uses ground beef, and I thought about using vegan ground beef substitutes such as Beyond or Impossible beef, but I decided to keep this more budget-friendly and healthier by using lentils. Now, you can definitely feel free to use a vegan ground beef substitute if you want to be bougie, and in that case, you won't need to add any vegetable broth, but it's totally up to you. Now let's mix in canned coconut milk, which is going to give this a really nice creamy taste, and some frozen mixed vegetables, frozen corn, salt, and pepper. Most of the recipes I've seen uses canned cream of mushroom soup, so instead of that, we're using real mushrooms along with some coconut milk for that creamy factor. Once that's mixed in really well, we're going to transfer this into a large casserole dish, and on top of this, you can even add like a nice layer of vegan cheese if you want, but I didn't do that. But yeah, that would be really good too. Now at this point, I'm going to add the star of the show, Tater Tots. Yay! I just bought a bag of frozen Tater Tots, and I'm just going to layer them nicely on top. You can add a cool pattern if you wish, and clearly I'm very creative with this lovely lined up pattern here. If you can mimic my artistic capabilities, that would be great. Now I'm going to bake this uncovered for 30 minutes at 400 degrees Fahrenheit or until the tater tots have cooked through and it's nicely browned on top. Once this is complete, you can serve it, and yes, it's gonna get messy once you plate it, but that's just how it is. This recipe is kind of like a slightly lazier version of shepherd's pie, only instead of using mashed potatoes, we're obviously using tater tots, which takes out a lot of the work involved. So yeah, it's super yummy, and I think the crispiness of the tater tots adds a really yummy element to this, and I definitely want to try it one day with vegan ground beef as well, okay? Maybe once the economy calms down a little bit, okay? Let me know, guys, what you think of this recipe. Make sure you check out the blog post linked below for the written ingredients, and I really hope you guys enjoy it.
All right, my friends, those were the 3 Christmas sides recipes. I really hope you guys enjoyed these, and I hope you try them all out, and let me know what you think. So all of the recipes, once again, are linked down below. The blog post will have all of the measurements and everything that you need, and all the written instructions and everything. So definitely check those out, and if you do try any of these, and if you like them, make sure you give me a 5-star review on the recipes. That'll be linked below, and of course give this video a big thumbs up. And guys, if you guys want more vegan holiday recipes, definitely check out my holiday recipes playlist. I'll link that below as well, and of course I'll also link my vegan beef roast recipe that I recently posted. That'll be linked down below as well for you guys to try. Anyway, guys, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to this channel for more vegan recipes, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Happy holidays! Bye!